You're listening to Two Chunks and a Hunk. Movie musings for mostly everyone. Welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week I'm your hunk.
I'm Doge, and yelling, standing on the bow with his arms stretched outwards. I'm the chunk of the world.
I forgot how even keel he was there.
Well, he was even keel because the boat wasn't very even keel.
Nice.
That's true. I'm Carter, and we'll stay forever this way. You are safe in my trunk, and my trunk will go on and on.
Hey, what an absolute banger, by the way.
Yeah. It's a good thing it's a banger because they milk that song to death in this movie.
It's the opposite. We'll talk about that later. It's the opposite of what that feels like.
I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Trust me. Just trust me. Do you trust me?
I don't know how it can be the
you.
opposite of what I just said, but yeah.
Well, do you trust me?
Sometimes.
We'll do it now.
Sometimes
are you the hunk?
I do.
Tell me this.
It sort of feels like booking a mountain excursion the day you watch 127 hours.
Sure. Yeah.
But I booked a cruise mere hours before watching this movie this week.
There you go, dude. in the spirit.
Mere Gregorian hours before pressing play on James Cameron's Titanic, I pressed play on purchasing tickets to go on a cruise.
Was there any part of you that, like, while the boat is going down in Titanic, you were just like, maybe I should cancel this?
I did not think about it at all until about halfway through. I paused the movie and was like, do you think it's a bad omen that we just booked a cruise today? And Callie goes, do you believe in bad omens now? And I said, no.
No, I'm not a bad guy.
But yeah, we booked a cruise. So it's the cheapest cruise I've ever booked in my life.
So your third
Carnival?
Your
it's
third
also
class,
only
probably?
the third cruise I've ever booked in my entire life.
Wow, silver spoon.
Yeah, it's Carnival, and we're down in those rooms that Jack was in, where it's just like pipes, exposed pipes everywhere. Just
are you going to get
beds with strangers?
Mario's actual brother Fabrizio to be your bunkmate?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, I am.
No further questions.
Yeah, that's it. That's really all the important details. It's me, Callie, and Fabrizio.
Let's go on the cruise.
I do love a nice fresh Fabrizio.
I tend to like to use Fabrizio softener to make sure that he's a kind-hearted, genuine soul.
I just love you so much.
I love you.
I'm so happy we're on the boat together.
I value our friendship so much.
The boat is going down, but at least we made a good memories.
Bastardo.
He says goodbye.
Boy, he gets smooshed by that big chimney, huh?
Big old chimney smoosh.
He gets mega smooshed.
Smooshed to death, even.
If your room or your clothes or your house start to smell bad, just spray some Fabrizio.
It's a me, Fabrizio.
Spray it in your shoes.
You know, we end up doing Mario voice a lot.
We do.
Yeah, I do Mario
That's
voice
recurring.
Like pretty consistently.
And if you listening are like, hey, yeah, thanks for bringing it up. It's a little too much.
You don't know.
Don't care. Mario forever. Don't care.
Do we want to
He's
keep
our
doing,
champion.
Do we want to keep doing Mario voice, or do we want to talk about the movie? do the
so
podcast?
narrow,
maybe?
so
it's
narrow-minded.
so ingrained in me.
to think
Hang on.
that
What if I
it's
ask
this
it like
binary
this?
decision.
What if I ask it like this? Would you like to talk about the movie?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Maybe
that
we
is
should-
why we record this.
Maybe we should move on from the Mario.
It's starting to get a little played out.
So lame.
Yeah, let's talk about the movie. It's the first place winner of Summer of Love 5. 4? 5.
5.
That's crazy. It's the first place winner of Summer of Love 5 as voted on by you, our dear, beautiful chunkies. It's the movie that launched 1,000 ships. Of course, I'm talking about a movie known as Titanic. Oh, softer energy from you two than I was anticipating on that name. Thought we were really
I
gonna
thought it was good energy.
smash it out. Doge, will you synopsify us so that we may discuss?
Sure thing. This week's IMDb synopsis was written by Nick Reganis.
Yes, it had to be.
Hey.
With a classic like this, it had to
Yeah, that's true.
Deep on the bottom of the sea, some 3,800 meters. It's M-E-T-R-E-S, meters, below the surface of the
Nick
freezing
is-
Atlantic
Nick is
Ocean
from the UK, perhaps.
lies the wreckage of a ship, the unmistakable carcass of the Titanic, once man's grandest mechanical achievement, now stripped of its former glory. Almost one long century later, intrigued by Titanic's hidden riches, the modern treasure hunter, Brock Lovett, and his well-equipped technical crew find themselves in the middle of the ocean, digging for answers for the past 3 years, nevertheless without any success. But when centenarian Rose Calvert, one of the few survivors of the Titanic, learns about this ambitious crusade, she decides to unfold her incredible and utterly tragic story, one that intertwines the extraordinary journey of the exquisite, deep blue, heart of the ocean diamond of King Louis XVI, with the unlikely romance of Rose and the young bohemian vagabond Jack Dawson. Now, an emotional trip down memory lane awaits. Can the mistakes of the past teach a lesson in humility to paupers and royalty alike?
Nick.
Powerful.
Always so good, Nick is.
Carter,
Always
were you,
so good.
It seemed to be that you were embodying the climax of this movie and you chose to freeze on your Zoom call.
Yes. Yeah,
right as I was getting to the
practicing
point where
my
the
Jack.
passengers would freeze. Yeah, I loved that. That was really good.
I actually had looked at something on IMDb and it auto played a movie trailer, which it just can't happen in this
At the same
small
time,
space
yeah.
right here.
Yeah, no.
So
Mm-mm.
What a good synopsis.
What a good synopsis,
Powerful.
Nick
Nick
Reganis.
it always is.
Nick is beautiful.
I don't know if I want to meet him. I think there was a season where I did,
Yeah.
but now I kind of like not
Yeah, don't meet your heroes.
knowing who he is, right? Yeah.
Don't meet your heroes for sure.
Hey, boys.
Yeah.
This is a long movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
You know what? Okay, we'll talk about that.
I want to save that discussion for a wee bit later in the episode, if that's okay. It's worth talking about for sure. I just want to pump the brakes for a second to talk about Doge, you had not seen this?
Correct.
Carter, you had.
Not all of it.
Okay.
I'd only seen pieces like from TB.
Okay. I watched this when I was 15, hated it. And I've spent the last 13 years thinking I hated the movie Titanic.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then rewatching it as a full grown adult with a brain that's done growing.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
It is a good movie.
James Cameron doesn't miss, man.
Well, I mean, that depends on sort of your definition of doesn't miss, but
Oh yeah, Jordan hates Avatar.
I hate Avatar. It's a terrible movie. It looks good.
I think James Cameron firing on all cylinders is capable of delivering a filmmaking experience like no other.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he's great.
I agree, dude.
Except for Avatar.
Here's what Cameron loves. Cameron's passion projects involve water, and Cameron's best movies are sequels.
Yeah, no, this is my
telling you.
impression of James Cameron.
Avatar 2 Way of Water is a passion project about water, and I think it's going to be Cameron firing on all cylinders, and I think it's going to be great.
Water.
I think it's going to be 5 with 10 visuals.
That's what Avatar was. I think it's going to be
Yes.
a 9. I think this is going to be a 9 with 10 visuals.
Nope. I think it's going to be just as bad, if not worse, as Avatar, but it's going to look
Okay.
good.
Okay.
There's no there. There is no meat on those bones. There's nothing to write in that.
You know,
world.
we'll have to review that
Yeah.
for the podcast.
No, I get it.
Okay.
So, this is Doja's Multiverse of Madness prediction all over again. Do you want to hear my impression of James Cameron making Titanic?
Yes. I feel like I have to say yes.
I've been working on it. It goes like this. Okay, so I've been working on this movie idea.
That was great. That was really good.
This is so good so far.
And it's like a biopic about the sinking of the Titanic, like what happened that day, like in real time, basically. And then everybody at the board meeting is like, that's an awesome idea, James. Seriously. Like, you're so good at that kind of stuff. You should do that. And he's like, yeah. And it's a love story between two people that should never be together. Really intense, really personal, and a lot of time developing characters. And they're like, oh my gosh, yes, James, make both of these movies. This is amazing. And then James is like, what? Make both of these? What are you talking about? And then the board is like, yeah, like the love story and the story about the Titanic, like make both. Those sound amazing. And then as James is already sinking under the ocean in a submarine, he's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And he's just like gone under the ocean, already filming footage of the Titanic at the bottom of the sea. And they're just like, did he mean the same movie? And then he made a 3.5 hour movie, which is my super dump because it should not have been this long. And it is a slog to sit through what is otherwise a pretty good movie with amazing visuals and a good story. But oh my Lord, it is too long.
Yeah, it is long. I was the fanfare around it, the critical acclaim, the amount of Oscars won. Like, Titanic feels like talking personally of like people our age, modern day Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Or like,
sure.
Yeah. 100%. Ben-Hur,
Sweeping
10 Commandments. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's the big boys, right? The ones that were huge before every superhero movie was about 240.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so it's, it is long.
I want to be clear that my issue is not
pieces we could have made.
That's my thing.
Short time.
It's not long movies don't bother me. I watch The Lord of the Rings through like almost twice a year, at least once a year. I have no issue with the long movies. I just feel like we could have trimmed 45 minutes off of this bad boy.
If you do that, though, James Cameron doesn't get to hang his hat on the fact that all of our scenes that were on the Titanic was the exact amount of time it took for the ship to sink.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Well,
He's
good.
Levels,
I think you cut pretty much all of the modern story, which was just an
100%.
excuse to show submarine footage of
real footage of the Titanic that he himself shot. Yeah.
Which is super sick.
He went down to the Titanic 5 times to film all the footage for this movie.
Yeah, that is very, very cool.
Yeah.
But
it's just crazy.
The only reason we have the modern story at all is simply so that we can show that footage.
Yeah.
That's true, by the way. We spend 45 minutes in the modern world for 5 minutes of footage of the Titanic underwater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just to justify it.
Yeah, because our characters there, maybe outside of current Rose, we don't need to. There's
uninteresting.
Really.
So
I think that especially, for the whole movie, really, aside from our 2 leads, but and Billy Zane, but especially in the future or the now, I think the acting is pretty rough across the board.
Yeah.
You're talking about even in the past?
Even in the past, I think pretty much everybody with the 2 leads and Billy Zane is the flattest person I've ever seen in a movie.
I don't fully agree with that. I think there's some other people that show up and do pretty decent work, but I think for the most part, it's like, let's just get everybody else out of the way for Kate and Leo.
Yeah. Could I convince you of present day that the acting is bad across the board in present day?
100%. Bill Paxton is trying his dangest, but...
you know why, though? Because wood floats, so he's trying to hedge his bets.
Nice.
I feel you.
I think, let me call some people out that I think do a pretty decent job. I think Kathy Bates is fine. I think...
she's good.
Victor Garber, actually, I find pretty good here. And that's it. That's the end of the list. This is not. outside of a couple people, this is not a movie I would say you watch for the acting, but that's not entirely true now, is it?
You know what's funny is that's never really been a James Cameron thing.
Right.
From all the movies that I'm thinking of.
It's
not necessarily about
spectacle, I think, most of the time more.
Because I don't know that he's so much a good director of interactions between folks,
Yeah.
but he has such a clear vision for
Like
how
set
to
pieces.
use spectacle and set pieces to elicit an emotional response in an audience.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is by far the most romancy he ever gets. And
Yeah.
so you never really notice that.
Well, this and Aliens.
Until you never really notice the acting until it's put into a setting that's like, oh, wait, but I saw like Crazy Stupid Love and
Right.
any other like
Right.
romance movie.
Sure.
That you're like, oh, everybody.
Pretty Woman.
hits.
Yeah.
Pretty Woman. Yeah. There's no ensemble here, which is fine.
Yeah, it's just kind of a different sensibility from the director. And
All the best things about it are on the poster, and that's what's supposed to happen. You know?
All the best moments of the romance storyline are ad-libbed between Kate and Leo.
is that true?
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's great.
The spitting thing was completely ad-libbed. At her at the very end when they're at the front of the boat and she's like, hey, this is where we first met. Completely ad-libbed by Kate. Like the stuff that's like really actually feels like a real relationship between two real humans, I think was not written or directed by James Cameron. It was ad-libbed
That's
by
amazing.
two
Yeah.
masterful actors.
Yeah. I
He
think
got
that
some two kids that could take control.
Exactly.
already.
I think that, and maybe this is spicy. I don't really know. I don't hear a lot of conversation about Titanic anymore, but I find Leo pretty average in this movie.
I think it's Leo's worst performance that I've
Well,
seen.
it's one of the only movies Leo's ever been in that he doesn't get nominated
yeah.
for an Oscar. He didn't get nominated. It's not surprising. You know, Titanic won 11, and a lot of it's technical. Granted, it gets, you know, cinematography's big, obviously directing and
Yeah.
film. It got the biggest one, but
Yeah.
everything else is super technical.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, that is so
And
many
Celine.
of this
Kate,
movie's
Kate was
strengths.
nominated.
Celine Dion won an
She
Oscar.
As she should have.
Yeah, of course. Music on all fronts won.
So the music, James Cameron did not want a song with lyrics. He was like, please do not put a pop song at the end of my movie because it does not, that never ever feels like it fits thematically with the movie. It feels so shoehorned in. It feels silly. Do not put a pop song at the end of my movie. The music supervisor was like, I really think we need a song with lyrics to just close out, to kind of be that final bow after Rose maybe dies and goes to Titanic heaven at the end of the movie. I'm not quite sure what that was.
I think
but
that is exactly what happens. Yeah.
well, man, I hope heaven's not the Titanic because then it's going to go down to the bottom of the ocean.
No.
But the music supervisor like secretly met with a lyricist and wrote lyrics to the main theme that James Horner composed for Titanic. And then secretly got Celine Dion on board, recorded the demo, showed it to Cameron, and Cameron's like, who is this singing? This is incredible. And he learned that it was Celine Dion, who's a fellow Canadian, and he goes, oh, she's a big deal, right? And they're like, yeah, this is Celine Dion. She's a huge deal. And he's like, I really like this song. Let's put it in the movie. But that's why I said it was
How
backwards.
can you not? Right?
Because it's not
That's
like
what I
Celine.
thought you were going to say when you said that it was backwards
Yeah.
from what I thought. But what I was saying had nothing to do with that. I was just saying they found one song that worked and milked it for the entire 4-day runtime of the movie.
Well, sure. I mean, so does Star Wars. That's the way movies work, though, right? The one theme is like
I
played
think
over and over.
You know that you are being obtuse with what I said right now. I think you understand that.
I think you're being
Doge.
obtuse.
No, I think that there's one song in this movie is what I
Guys,
meant.
white gloves are off. Slap
Is
now.
that what the gloves are off means? You take your white gloves
No.
off,
Gloves are off. It's like boxing.
smack the face. I spit on you.
Excuse
I
me,
bite
sir.
my thumb at you, sir.
I do not wish to ruin my white gloves with your red blood.
I do not bite my thumb at you, but I do bite my thumb, sir.
I went to Las Vegas, Caesar's Palace, one of my greatest
Brag.
Well, the whole thing's about to be a brag. One of the greatest
Classic Carter.
live music moments of my life was seeing Celine Dion.
Oof.
And
Yeah, I bet.
her finale, her
How
Encore.
French Canadian of you?
thank you. You know, I'm getting in the moment. I'm remembering things.
Quebec.
She did have an entire song in French, and I wept. I had no idea what she was saying. But I was like, okay, I get it. Anyways.
She's like escargot, beignet.
French fries. There was she comes out for the encore and she's in this beautiful like sequined silver dress, and she's wearing the Heart of the Ocean.
Oh,
And
incredible.
Unbelievable.
So she's standing on this platform that I didn't really know was a platform until she gets to when it really hits.
yeah.
You're here. And she like goes up. This platform starts to raise, and it's this circle that's only it's probably like maybe 3 feet.
Oh, geez.
And so she's barely being able to stand on this thing. I'm sure they've got her fashioned some way because it raises up and then water falls all around her in the shape of that circle.
Oh my goodness.
And it's like she was singing from underwater. And then I was like, wow, that's amazing. And it was more like, wow. Like just music. But then they start making designs. The water starts to like move and like open up to where it like opens like a curtain around her. Dude, it was
unbelievable.
So I'm just getting kind of like goosebumps for the entire movie because I'm just hearing the music again. But Celine Dion to the 90s, like to 90s love songs, is like what Robin Williams was just to movies in the 90s for me.
Yeah.
She's like obviously iconic, but I was thinking of like Beauty and the Beast. She's just Oscars left and right in this time frame.
Yeah.
And kind of just had complete control. It's funny to think James Cameron could have thought anything different, but yeah, let's do this. It's just too moving.
There was
Whether you
ever a
like
version of the
or
movie
not.
without this song in it.
Right.
Yeah, I remember this song. When's the last time that a movie song played on the radio so much?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It was
Probably
tons.
Where Are You Christmas by
Probably
Yeah.
from The Grinch.
Cindy
Cindy
Lou
Lou
Who.
Who.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember her name. Thank you.
That
I think I was
song
trying to
would-
remember the real girl's name.
I have no idea. That song gets stuck in my head like about once a month.
I'm
Genuinely,
kind of
not a
bummed
joke.
that you've brought it up because it'll
Yeah.
be there for a bit.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Christmas in July, right?
As it's 104 outside.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Dear God, where's Christmas?
My shoes are melting. No, you're right though. This is such a cool example of like song and movie being so incredibly linked together
Yeah.
that
It's like
imagining
it's
one
like the
existing,
sun rising on Lion King.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It has to be.
Yeah.
And obviously everything we've referenced won an Oscar except for Cindy Lou Who. So it makes sense.
She was robbed.
She was
What a
robbed.
snub.
What else came out in 2003? When did that come out? Probably 2003. Feels
The Grinch. That
2003.
feels right.
Yeah.
Feels like a pretty 2003 movie.
That was probably Annie Lennox, Into the West.
The recreation of the boat,
It's phenomenal.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly detailed.
Like,
It's absolutely wild.
I just want to go walk on it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing that sets this apart from other just like this is a history romance movie.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because that's to me where I get the comparison with like Ben-Hur, where you hear like your dad or your grandpa talk about, I went to see Ben-Hur in theaters and I watched a stuntman die. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like
Right.
they built a Roman Colosseum and I saw the actual chariots. You know what I mean? It's that level of just like, we're going to do it. We're going all out.
And that's why I say, tongue in cheek a little bit, but honestly, that's why I say this is two movies. This is a love story
Oh, yeah.
where the two main
clearly.
characters accidentally get roped into a horror biopic about
Yeah.
a ship sinking.
They Bill and Ted their way through the sinking
Yeah.
of the Titanic.
100%.
There's a moment where Kate Winslet, when Rose has grabbed the axe and is running through a half-flooded hall as sparks are
Yeah.
flying behind her. And I was like, there he is.
There's James.
This is James Cameron.
Sweet baby
Heroin-
James.
Heroin with an axe. And peril. Yeah.
It is.
Phenomenal.
This movie is so uniquely like heartbreaking just thinking about the way that like classism and wealth played into who got to have a better chance at surviving on this boat. And in the way that just like Titanic is the story of fatal hubris. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting that James Cameron decided to tell just the story of how the night went.
This movie is also so much like Jurassic Park in that way to me, and in multiple ways of just being like you're creating something that's going to absolutely kill
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
But also like the fact that Spielberg just wanted to do something about dinosaurs and that wasn't super popular, and now dinosaurs are a part of culture.
Yeah.
Like the Titanic, I'm not going to say is a part of culture, but boy, it moved it like up the list. Like
Yeah.
I don't think this was known to be this big tragedy. It's not like if someone was going to make a movie about 9/11 today.
Right.
And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Titanic, I remember that being one of the first movies that came out from my memory that had multiple components on like cable television. There was like Discovery Channel things that were telling us about all
Yeah.
this footage. Like James didn't just make $2 billion on this movie.
Right.
Right. There's not lots of Titanic merch, but there's like soundtrack sales. There's selling the rights to the footage that he got. Like it
Yeah.
made me also feel like when Ridley Scott did The Martian and all of a sudden they're like, you know what? This might actually be good for, we've never had this kind of bankroll.
Yeah.
Let's figure some of this stuff out.
Yeah.
Let's actually see what this would be like. So it is pretty phenomenal in that way to see the actual footage underwater. And granted, not everything is practical effects, obviously, but the mix was pretty good. I don't remember
Yeah.
any computer generated stuff looking ridiculous.
No, it holds
Honestly,
up
the
very
most
well.
the most standout of the computer generated stuff was like water when the boat is moving. But I think that was it for me when it's moving around the iceberg. But it was just so epic. I think that's
Yeah.
why it feels like Gone with the Wind
Yeah.
too. It's just so massive.
There were things like bodies falling and hitting propellers that looked a little CG, like a little
Yeah.
old school CG, but it is old school CG. So what are you gonna?
Yeah.
I mean, what's there to?
I did
complain
find
about?
myself giggling because it's very clearly a romance movie, but things like that don't normally happen in Summer of Love.
Yeah, I think this is the
It
highest.
just turns
this is the
into a
highest
horror
body
movie
count
in the
by
last
far.
hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably
It's
besides
so
Sweet Home
scary.
Alabama.
It's
Yeah.
and it is so funny to me because Cal, Billy Zane's character, Billy Zane had the perfect face to be the
To be
worst
awful.
person on
Yeah.
the planet.
100%.
Because,
Yeah.
because this character is monstrous, but his face, I'm like, oh yeah, no, you look like you'd probably be that way.
Yeah, he's not going to be a good guy when you see him,
Yeah.
especially with the hair added.
It's the hair. It's something about like the mouth and the eyes. It's just so intense. It's like, he's not smiling a lot.
He looks like a Disney villain
He does.
Hundo.
that our
Hundo.
protagonist falls in love with.
100%.
You're like, no, that's the wrong guy.
He
Yeah.
kind of looks like the villain from Hunchback, actually.
Yeah. I was going to say he's Clayton a little bit in terms of just like that, like
Vibe, general
totally
vibe.
braggadocious Disney villain.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Braggadocious is such a powerful word. I
A
don't
little
say
sprinkling
it enough,
of Gaston.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
What an awful person.
What a horrible, horrible person. When he picked up the kid, I was like, oh, he's gonna save a kid. That's gonna be nice. Then he was like, nope, this kid's my ticket off the boat. What a horrible person.
What a horrible person.
I wish that he had to die because there wasn't enough room on a door that there was definitely enough room on.
It's not about
Yeah.
room, it's about buoyancy.
I understand, but it's make the door smaller.
Can I super dump real quick?
Yeah, please.
You may.
So I do remember even in 97, I didn't have to hear about the movie before I knew that the Titanic sunk. Okay, I think everybody knows that's I think the subtle nuances of just seeing people happy and seeing the class system on the ship that we know is going to sink is enough to have the lead up of like, hey, isn't this crazy that this sinks eventually? There are so many like references
Yes.
that I got so sick of it. I was like, dude, we know.
I think this
You're
I
not
think,
making this any worse.
if I'm
Like,
understanding you, I think this is my super dump too. I think this is exactly the thing that bugged me the most about this as well.
yeah, so I'm like moments where they're like, oh yeah, there's not enough lifeboats.
Yes,
for
100%.
everybody. Oh yeah, there's it'll be fine. I can sniff an iceberg.
Yes.
Like all that
It
kind of
is
stuff.
so
Those two
heavy-handed with that
guys came
stuff.
straight
man.
out of Monty Python, by the way.
Yeah,
And it was so unnecessary. Those kinds of characters are
They're
so
not going to
fun.
have to try to stay warm tonight, are they?
Yeah. Those kind of characters are so fun when we're killing aliens.
Right,
They're
right.
and we're running from robots. They're not fun on a biopic.
When we're remembering the actual tragedy that killed so many people. Yeah.
Not at all. And so I think it was enough too, because some of our best moments of like referencing the Titanic's about to sink again are just genuinely seeing people happy, knowing that it's very likely that Jack and Rose won't stay together. This whole thing's crashing. Maybe they both die. I don't remember a lot of people's first experience, but I think it's a bit of a shock when we lose Jack. There's so many moments when we think we will and we don't. So then we're like, okay, great. They're both fine. He dies, whatever. But yeah, we just referenced it way too much. Having the blueprints on board, all these kind of things of like, it's never going to happen. All the pride in this is an unsinkable ship.
I find some of that stuff really helpful at the end. Like some of those things put some stuff into a bag that is helpful for me to pull out later at the end of the movie when I go, why are they treating the lifeboats like this? This is so weird. Like save everybody. It's helpful to me.
You could reference it moments before.
Right.
In the panic.
Yeah.
Right.
Of like, they're just for aesthetic.
Yeah. Shouldn't there be more lifeboats? Yeah. Rather than like throughout the whole movie, it's like, it's too, and I get, like that's part of the story of the Titanic, right? Is that it's too big to fail. It's too big to sink. And so like, you have to include that in the movie some way, but I think that it was so heavy-handed. And Carter,
it
you're
tends
exactly
to
right.
come at those times where it's like, I love you so much and I can't believe I'm doing this. This is crazy. Also, are there life jackets on this thing or like...
also, just wondering, do we have a plan for icebergs? Not that we'll see any, but do we have a plan? Yeah.
Right. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just so heavy-handed. And I get, like, it's the dramatic irony of, like, you know, we know what's going to happen and we watch the characters in this dramatically ironic situation. But, man, there's a way more subtle way to do it. And again, subtlety in scripts are not Cameron's strength, I think.
Sure. Have you ever seen Remember Me with Robert Pattinson?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, so I've only seen it once, and I'm not going to be able to give like. I think people might know why I'm referencing it right now. It's a bit of a spoiler, but this also is a romance of these two.
I know what.
Okay,
I know what.
So these two people fall in love, and you don't know until the end that our other half is in the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
On 9/11, and he dies. Tragically.
Yeah.
So that is just like completely different because it's like, oh, world tragedy. We never really see too many references as to what time of the year this is. It was made around that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we lose the building and you're like, oh my God, that's right. There was like stories in those buildings.
I wondered while I was watching that, is there a way to have the reveal that this boat is the Titanic be when it hits the iceberg? Everybody go, oh no, they're that boat.
There is, but I think you make 300 million less.
You make way less money.
Dang, hold on for just a second though, because I really like that idea of, hey, this is a love story about two people that shouldn't have been on the same boat together, and then all of a sudden, at the height of even the running from the bodyguard and all that stuff, that's when we hit an iceberg.
Would have worked in 97,
and it could zoom out and see the name of the boat.
Yeah,
yeah.
Dang.
Modern day, in trailers and stuff, there would be plenty of history buffs. They're like, this is an exact replica.
Well, Screen Rant would have 1,000 articles. Like, Jack and Rose are really on this historic boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Click to see which.
Or it would just be like,
is.
Guy who delivered DoorDash to set of new James Cameron movie discovered that the boat is, in fact, the Titanic.
Yeah.
Man,
I wish I could be that guy.
Technology.
I do DoorDash, and maybe I can sometimes. It's Dallas. It's a bigger city.
Yeah.
Maybe I can stumble upon a set.
Yeah, you'll find secrets.
Try.
I've delivered to court before, by the way. I delivered Subway to court.
Like where the Mavs play?
Like judicial.
So you made a sandwich for. I mean, it could have been a murder boy who ate the sandwich
Do you
that
have
you
to
gave
make
him.
the food, Carter?
Subway gives you Ziploc bags of all the ingredients, right? They're just like, do it on your way. It has to be fresh.
Goodness.
You have to
That's
eat
so
fresh.
funny. We should probably go to shout announcements so we can afford Subway of our own. Well, it's the shout announcement time, and we're here to say, gonna do shout announcements in a major way. Everybody's doing, everybody listens. And then when we do it, everybody listens. Look out. There goes shout announcements.
There they are. Dojan, Jordan, you know what time it is?
What time
No.
is it?
That's right. It's hammer time. Next week,
Yeah.
we're going to be
so good.
wrapping up our summer of love with one of the most anticipated movies of the last 2 or 3 years, in my mind, maybe Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
We're going to review that because we have to.
Yeah.
Outside of MCU being foundational to this podcast, I'm so ready to just go have fun.
I'm so pumped.
I'm so ready to just go have some fun. Taika plus Chris.
I am counting
Welcome
on
back,
this
Nat.
movie to shake me out of my MCU fatigue that I've been experiencing the last couple months.
For sure. But then you might be sad because you're like, they're not all Taika.
I
But
know.
yeah, we'll see.
I know.
But I think it's going to be a great time. I'm excited to watch this and then talk about it with these pod boys.
So pumped.
So tune in next week for that big release.
I'm like embarrassingly pumped about that movie.
Yeah,
It's
it'll
gonna
be a good
so
time.
much fun.
It'll be quite a good time. Another source of certified, genuine good times is supporting us on Patreon. We've got 2 tiers you can support us at. We've got a $3 tier and a $5 tier. Let me break it down for you. The $3 tier gets you access to patron-exclusive bonus episodes, including our forthcoming Top Gun Maverick episode. We recorded that about a week ago, and we're working. It's still got a little bit of time in the oven left, but once it comes out, it's going to be piping hot and delicious for all of our Patreon supporters.
Just made $1 billion, by the way, and passed the $1 billion mark.
Man, I sure wish I had that on my box office ball
I know.
roster.
I goofed.
Who could have predicted that a legacy sequel to a movie about planes was going to be good, you know?
It is still a shock to me when I think about how much I loved that movie.
It was so good.
If bonus episodes aren't enough for you, you can support us at the $5 level, and that gets you access to not only the Patreon exclusive bonus episodes, but also our Patreon exclusive Discord channel. We've got a lot of great conversation happening over there. All of the what's in the box questions that you heard on yesterday's Mini Monday were actually sourced directly from Discord. That's a notification that I'm happy to get every time I see it pop up on my phone. Absolutely love that community and would absolutely love for you, yes, you, I'm talking to you, to be a part of it.
Oh, I already am, though.
Oh. No, I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, I thought you were looking at... Okay.
No.
I think good marriage advice is 50-50 is not enough. You have to go 100-100. You got to give everything you have to your marriage, to your relationship. I think that's good advice for any relationship, whether it's romantic or platonic. I think that when you expect someone to meet you halfway, you end up disappointed. Chunkies, we give you 100%.
Oh, yeah.
But if you are just listening and not telling people about how amazing this show is, you're not giving 100%. And we are kind, mature lovers who are fine to let you sort of wander around in the shallow end of love. But we're over here swimming in the deep end saying, come join us, give 100%. Let's do this together.
Our water in the deep end is good though. Not
It's
like
good
the
water.
water in Titanic where they will kill you.
Yeah.
Come over here. Tell somebody about the show. Share us with your loved
Water?
ones.
He's fine.
It's beautiful. It smells like lavender. It's exact body temperature. You can't tell where your skin ends and the water begins. It's just
I don't know
amazing.
if I'm down for that.
That feels like everybody would be accidentally peeing.
I am intentionally peeing, so
That's why it's body temperature.
that's why it's body temperature. It's just that's the power of
Love.
urine.
Have you heard? Amazon is now hiring for their new site opening soon in New Albany. Be one of the first to take advantage of launching a new career at one of the best workplaces in the world. Being a part of Amazon includes great benefits and competitive pay, plus many opportunities for advancement. So get a new job today and kickstart a new career tomorrow. Learn more about the perks of working at a new Amazon site. Go to amazon.com/start now. Amazon is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Do you have a favorite visual in this movie?
It's been done to death, and it's sort of a joke now. But the scene at the front of the boat, the I'm flying Jack scene, is absolutely incredible. That is a beautiful scene. It's really sweet. I mean, I think there's a reason why that is like the thing people think of when they think of this movie. It's great.
Yeah, that has to be like one of the most iconic movie scenes of all time.
Oh, absolutely. But there's a reason.
Just
you know,
phenomenal.
it's incredible. It's
Yeah.
really, really good.
Yeah. Man, every sitcom had some reference to that.
Yeah.
I feel like multiple times for the next 10 years.
Mine's a two-way tie between two different moments. One is when the boat starts to really tip and stuff is like falling off of walls and beds are shifting and all of those things. That's just something that when you hear about the Titanic sinking, or at least me, I just don't think about the fact that all the angles and the tips and the turns.
Yeah.
means that
You think it
stuff's
just
gonna
kind
go
of went
flying.
straight down.
Right. Yeah. It's so interesting to think about how everything moved. But then I think just
Yeah.
overall for me, the best visual in the movie is when Jack is locked in the like security room and then we begin to watch all the water rush down the hallway.
Yeah.
It is so eerie. And like, I guess for me, it's just that hallway in itself. Like anytime Rose is like deciding to wade down into that water to go get Jack and Jack is stuck as the water, it's so unsettling to watch indoors be flooded
Yeah.
so slowly.
Yeah.
It just sticks with me. I get the chills just thinking about the
I think-
water rising in that hallway and room.
So the Titanic hits an iceberg at an hour and a half left of this movie. And about the last 70 minutes of that is the sinking of Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my super pump for this movie. Because
Okay.
I think that like the entire, like the set pieces, the micro set pieces contained within that set piece of the sinking of the Titanic are all expertly plotted, expert management of tension throughout each of those set pieces, expertly choreographed. Like this to me is like, this is a master just like showing off. This is like peak James Cameron of just like, I can make you feel anything I want you to feel. I can hold your attention. I can make you watch a boat sink for over an hour and you'll be on the edge of your seat the whole time. It is absolutely masterful. And it's part of the reason why I love Cameron. And it's not a bit that I do think Avatar Way of Water is going to be good because it is a Cameron passion project. And when James Cameron is firing on all cylinders, it is incredible.
Yeah. So the visuals that stand out to me in that too, they're all second half.
Yeah.
One of them is Rose holding the axe and walking to head back to the handcuffs, like through that flooded hall.
Yeah.
And then the other one is, I mean, the hundreds of floating dead bodies.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
brutal.
Frozen. It's just like pretty visceral.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, my super pump is similar in that, you know, this wasn't just an action director making a romance movie. It was an action director making an action movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So specifically, my super pump is that no punches were pulled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is such a James Cameron thing to do in the first place. But also, too, it's like, while he might have scripted too many references to, hey, this is about to sink, it didn't feel over the top to see just really the tragedy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just kind of relentless
Yeah.
in how sad all this stuff is, but it's different angles and different perspectives of very, very much what happened.
Mm-hmm.
One of the saddest things is Kathy Bates standing up and trying to demand
dude,
that they
for
turn
sure.
around to pick up people. There's room in the boat. And then they just choose not to.
It's
And
infuriating.
so, yeah, it's super upsetting. It is not a surprise to me that because of the second half of this movie, I really don't know who this movie might not appeal to in 1997.
Right.
So, and again, we get 2 releases, so it's not all 97 that this movie's in theaters, but it does make well over $2 billion. And so I could see myself leaving that, being exhausted, somewhere in between. Like, I don't know if I want to see that again yet, or gosh, that second half was so that really was so good though. I think I want to go back and see that again. So
I think in the sinking, one of the best scenes in the movie, but also maybe one of the most like sobering scenes in the movie for me is when it shows the power go out on the boat for the last time, and you hear the screams followed by just the complete silence of just waves lapping up against the boat, and it's getting swallowed by the ocean.
unreal.
And that is such a like harrowing thing to watch.
Yeah. Oh my
Just-
goodness.
I think about the people that decided to stay in the boat and now they're just in pitch black,
Yep.
but also just the end of white noise. All you've got left is screams, cries, and a boat sinking. That's the only sound that those people would hear. And that's no good. That's no good. That's very
No, thank you.
freaky to me. I'd love to offer up my super pump now.
Please. Yeah.
I didn't know what it was going to be until it hit me. And it is Kate Winslet,
Yeah.
who is just, if you are in need of a reason to watch this movie, she is it.
She's so good.
She is so good.
Yeah. And she's so charming. I
Yep.
think she's one of the only characters. Well, she really is. We do get to see Jack in kind of the high class scenarios, but really Kate spends the most time in both.
Mm-hmm.
And it needed to because it felt like she was capable of the most breadth. And so she
I
was given
completely
a
agree.
perfect role for her. And
She crushes it.
Destroyed it.
She's
And they're-
fun.
I mean, this is in Summer of Love, and it's easy to forget that because of the second half of this
Right.
movie that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But like, Jack and Rose have some pretty iconic
Oh,
chemistry.
for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, these two were just. I mean, I think she was 22 and he was 23.
I mean, Draw Me Like One of Your French Girls gets parodied a lot and made fun of a lot, but and not to go too blue for our usually pretty chill podcast, but like that scene is a like masterfully written scene of like sexual tension finally bubbling over. Like it is just while I was watching it, I was just thinking like, I can't believe James Cameron directed this scene. It's so
Yeah.
his skill set is typically big sweeping things, and this is such a small and like genuinely romantic moment between two people.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
My super pump almost was the one fraction of a scene that felt like simultaneously a wink from James Cameron that's like, hey, I'm about to let loose. And then also it was just literally like the halfway mark of it's about to turn into a disaster film.
Yeah.
But when they're in the steamy car and her hand hits the
Yep.
window, that's very James Cameron in general because you might be used to like blood.
Usually it
coming
would be
off of those
blood.
Fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just steam.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
so it was like, hey, this is the exact crux. Like this is the very center of this
What's
movie.
funny about that scene is that it's about 8 hours into the movie, and there's still about 16 hours left of the
Yeah,
back half
it's pretty
of the movie
crazy.
after that scene.
The thing that kept getting me was like, watching this is like, yes, this is this is a great romance. And like you forget that grandma is telling them the story in response to the question, do you know where the diamond is?
Yeah, right.
She's like, well, let me tell you about the time I got so freaky deaky with this guy on a boat.
you ever talk
and
to
then
an
we
old
co-
person though? I mean,
And then we cut back to grandma saying it was the single most erotic experience of my life.
and
the
her
deadpan
granddaughter's just
faces.
wiping a tear.
I know. It's like, I don't think that would be my response.
Grandma nasty. Grandma
no,
Rose
where's the-
nasty.
Where's the necklace? I don't want to hear about what you did in the back of that car.
Oh,
And then Bill Pullman's like, please help me find the necklace. And she's like, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Necklace overboard,
no doubt, no
die
doubt.
to death. Die to
Yep.
death instantly. Yeah, I would cut the entirety of the modern day story from this.
do not
I would-
need a single
I would
second of
start
the
with
modern
the
day stuff.
submarine shots of the modern Titanic sunk at the bottom of the ocean. I would stick with the transition from modern to old, which is incredible.
Yeah, really good.
And then I would just simply tell the exact same story, but lose 35 minutes of the runtime by killing all the modern day stuff.
Even if we want the end of the movie to be this old woman that we don't know who she is. She
We can still
shows
have
up.
that if we want to.
Yeah, at the very end. Like we can have that exact scene and then she pulls the necklace out and we go, oh my God, that's Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think to me that works so much better than having it as a framing device throughout the whole thing.
Or if you need it as a framing device.
A bit of a Rosebud moment.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe if we need it as a framing device, we start with her getting off the helicopter and just have her sit down and they say, okay, help us find it. Talk to me. Tell me everything about Titanic. And then she can just start there.
It is 36 minutes into the movie before we go back to the past.
That's what I'm saying. And then we still come back for chunks of time throughout. If we cut all of that, we're shaving 40 minutes off of this movie that desperately needs 40 minutes shaved off of it.
It does, absolutely.
It is. I understand that it is a good movie, but it is overlong. And I'm not one to complain about the length of movies unless they have unearned length, which I think this has.
Yeah.
I think this could have been tightened to, you know what? I'll call the shot. I think this should have been a 2.5 hour movie, and I think they should have done everything they could to trim it to 2.5 hours. If this is tighter, I think it's much better. Still like it. I still really like it. There's just so much.
That's the thing about Titanic is that it notoriously is bad and like not winning any awards or regarded as one of the best movies ever. So it makes sense for us three nobody small brain boys to try to fix it.
We've all watched enough Oscar movies to know that sometimes even the best ones got a little big for their britches.
Even the best.
Well, except for Green Book. I mean, that
Okay.
won Best Picture. I think that movie's perfect.
I just talked about Green Book in contrast with Titanic 2 days ago. That's funny. That's very funny. Hey, what's our date like for this movie? Let's design a date.
It's got to be something with water. I think.
Something with Captain Theoden.
So
I think. I was gonna say I think either like
failing his people.
like a lazy river, like just chilling and floating, or like something active water, like kayaking or like whitewater rafting or something that's like got a little bit of the danger of Titanic.
So I think if it's possible, I don't know. I've never tried to do this, so I don't know if this is a thing. But if you can essentially like rent or charter like one of those little like fancy houseboats, basically a floating hotel room, I think you do that. Watch Titanic on the boat.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think no matter what, for like every meal, you split it.
And you use ice as
Like you get this half
and
and
you
I
use
get this
ice
half.
as a knife to cut
And
it.
you use masking tape down the center of the room, and that half's your half, this half's my half. Don't come on my side or I'll tell mom.
Does that exist? Like, can you like Airbnb a houseboat?
I don't know.
Because if it doesn't, I'm
Yes.
gonna do that. I'm gonna make it Airbnb SEA.
No, you can absolutely do that.
Well, we should
can
do
do
it.
Hang up the podcast. Let's get started on a couple
Yeah,
ideas.
let's- I mean,
You'd have to do
we
another
should do it.
Patreon plug before we could rent a house.
But yeah, I think you do that. I think you do if you can. Let's pretend it exists for the sake of this, but Carter seems to think it does.
I mean, if it does, it definitely does. Go ahead, Jordan. I have a fun activity, but go
oh
ahead.
no, go ahead. I want to hear the fun activity.
This is. I think you should draw each other.
Yes. Okay. That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Yes.
I think you absolutely should try and draw each
Yes,
other naked.
for sure.
It brings a little bit like fun, like fun awkwardness in there.
Yeah.
I think that'd be
Maybe skip
hilarious.
this
If you're
one
not
for our
comfortable,
first date.
maybe you
skip
keep
this one
it
for-
somewhere. Depending on how good it is, maybe it's displayed in the house.
Yeah, maybe.
not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Maybe
your
you
iPhone
get it blown
background.
up. You get it blown up, and it's your entire living room wall.
Entire living room.
You force
If you're not
everybody to look
comfortable
at it.
with like, if you don't feel like you could draw well, I think you could do it like flannel graph as well. Like in Sunday school when they tell stories about shepherds and sheep and stuff, and they'd have those flannel guys that would stick to the board. You could just get a bunch of shapes and be like, make a naked me out of flannel.
You could also lay a bunch of parchment paper over your significant other and scribble with a pencil over top, like what you did with leaves in
You better hope it
elementary
doesn't
school.
break through. That paper better be thick.
Or that pencil better
Stabbing
be
nobody.
soft. One or the other. Those are the two options. Yeah, I think you rent out a houseboat. You watch Titanic on the boat. You draw each other in the buff, in the nude.
Draw each other in whatever state of undress you're comfortable with.
It's obviously better if it's nude, but yeah, I hear what
Better
you're saying.
naked, but
you're saying.
if this is a first date, I wouldn't recommend it.
she naked.
What are we eating?
What song is
what
that?
are we eating and drinking on this boat date?
Seafood.
Yeah.
Like fish and stuff, seafood. But then your dessert is snow cone so that you may eat the ice that ate the Titanic.
Very good.
It's either that, or you could do like something that's pretty high class and then something that's really like
Would you say like maybe really nice seafood and then like a blastberry snow
Down to
cone
earth.
would be
Yeah,
pretty
that's what I
low
would
class?
say. Yeah.
I mean, I think, if you wanted
that way
to
you
have
can
like
work in, you can weave in multiple things.
Oh, you know what? Make sure you have caviar. That's what it is. If you have caviar with your seafood meal, so caviar and lobster, and then you follow it up with like a snow cone. I think that's pretty high class, low class.
dig it.
There's a lot of power
And
there to
then-
be reclaimed by eating the iceberg.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
Then the
next
cycle
part
is
is-
complete and we may rest. Once we eat
More
the ice
helpful
that ate
consumes
our
its
poor
tail.
bears.
More helpful if you know one. If you don't, just take a guess. But you can end it by shooting an Irishman.
Yeah, that is good.
Do we have any volunteers?
Or you could just give his life jacket to actual Mario. Thank you for the jacket. I'm sorry you're dead.
It's back.
Scoot over under the door.
No.
There's plenty of room for Mario. I think that
There's a story where he's a chimney sweep and his wife always says, "Hey, this job's gonna kill you." It's like, no. And then the giant like boat chimney does actually kill him.
Yeah.
I think you end the date. I think you end the date
The date needs to be really long.
by seeing if you
Yeah.
can both float on a door at the back of your boat. It's time to rate this movie.
By the way, Jack dies. It's sad. We didn't.
Yeah,
talk about Everybody
that is
knows
sad.
Yeah, it's
but
really sad.
If it lasted much longer, it would have been corny. But the timing was good there. I
Yeah.
don't know how much more I could have taken. I'm like, bros, got me. I want you to.
when Rose is like, I'm back. Hey, I'm back.
An hour.
Dude, it's like a
little
9
boat
minute
in slow
scene
motion.
of Rose. I'm back. I'm back. So if you tell me nothing can be cut out of this movie, it's time to rate this
Oh Lord.
using the scientific cinema scale, which is perfect, and as follows. The best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't lend it,
Buy that poster.
The next best thing is buy it. That's followed by rent it, and then stream it. After that is forget it. And last but certainly least, the worst thing we could ever say about a movie.
God hath forsaken us.
There's plenty of historically successful movies that I look at and I'm like, that's not for me, but I'll go ahead and give it blank rating. Because I can recognize what's good about that, but it's not for me. So I get kind of between the love what you love, and then maybe I add
There's
a
some like
little
respect.
asterisk that's like respect what needs to be respected. The thing about Titanic is I have both bits there. I actually ended up enjoying it. I knew that I was going to walk into this respecting something because I knew of the director, and obviously you can't really miss with our two leads. But honestly, this was a really good movie, and I think for that I'm going to buy Titanic. Like it is a good movie. There's moments of it that are a slog, but boy, the payoff. The payoff isn't just like what you sometimes will get in a movie to where it's like, but those last 10 minutes, right? You do get an entire movie that's a payoff in this movie. And so, I buy Titanic.
I also buy Titanic. Titanic.
Oh,
Titanic, buy Titanic. Because I like Titanic. It's really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I really thought that I was going to come away with it and say, this is not for me, but I get why some people like it. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really great. I'll buy Titanic.
Yeah, I'm renting it the two things that keep it, honestly, I think it would be a poster for me. That's how much these two things affected me. But I cannot get over how much of this movie doesn't need to be here for my tastes. We could tighten this up a lot and still get the exact same movie, just with shorter scenes, basically. And then this is a pretty disappointing Leo. For somebody that we've seen so much from.
It is.
This is probably my least favorite Leo role I've seen him in.
It is weird because the two different vibes of this movie counteract. Because in some romance movies, you kind of give grace.
Yes.
You can.
But it's too elite of a movie to give that leeway. Yeah, I'm totally with you. But don't get me wrong. Prior to my rewatch, I would have guessed that I would say forget Titanic because I really hated my watch when I was 15. So I really enjoyed this one. I found Kate Winslet to be reason enough to watch the movie again. She's utterly fantastic. And also, this is as good a time as any to say, if you didn't see Mare of Easttown, you should watch that.
Yeah,
she's unbelievable.
She's hardly changed by that.
No, dude, she is the female Leo. Like, she just is that good, I think.
Yeah.
So, check that out.
Leo's the male Kate, honestly.
It's true. It's true. Hey.
And I'm Doge.
Next week, it'll be Summer of Love and Thunder.
Yep.
As we wrap up Summer of Love 5, talking about Thor, Love, and Thunder. My prediction for best and highest grossing Marvel movie of 2022.
This is the part where you say to end today's episode.
To end today's episode, I'd like for each of us to say our name and what would your stateroom on the Titanic look like?
What would our what?
Your stateroom on the Titanic?
Just where we're staying?
I mean, is there any answer other than fancy old room? They kind of all look like fancy old room.
That's what you thought that Leo was staying in, was a fancy old room?
So his room counts stateroom.
So embarrassing.
What if we... Now, watch out. Because you always do this part. But what if we were like, it's starting to sink. What's your first move? That could be fun.
That's hilarious.
I'm going to pick my stateroom, though.
How do you respond in a situation of certain death? It's funny, hilarious.
No, yeah, let's do that.
We'll do the
So
stateroom.
let's say your name and say what you do if you knew that you're about to die on the Titanic. I'll go
Can we
first.
just
My
keep
name
it-
is
can we say
for two
what
chunks
your
and a
name-
hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and I don't know. I'd probably think a lot about my loved ones. I'd probably find the highest point. Yeah, I'd probably.
How are you trying to
I'd probably
survive?
find the highest point on the boat and just await my slow death. Probably in my stateroom, and it would look like. No, honestly. So, Carter? It's a great question. So here's what I would do.
This is such a bummer. That's such a bummer.
So I think I
thing
would
to say.
sprint through.
If you had a big boat, what would you name it? That's funny. That's light. That's what the people
we can
crave.
do that.
Says the guy who doesn't do this part of the show.
He didn't even get out to me when I did it.
Because your idea was better than mine.
We can do big boat name. Let's do big boat name.
Derek.
All aboard.
Jess and I were talking the other day, and
Finally.
yeah, I know, first time. And we both think it's really funny when dogs have like very human names. And we've decided that we think that Stephanie is the funniest possible name for a dog. So I would probably name my boat Stephanie.
Susan's pretty
I would
fun.
like to
It's a good name
submit.
for a dog.
I would like to submit that the actual funniest possible name for a dog is Greg.
Yeah, that's really good.
This is my
really
dog,
good.
Greg. That's why we named
laugh
our
at-
I had
cat
a dog
Bruce,
named-
though, because we think people named
Yeah.
for animals are hilarious.
We laugh at the
I
idea
had a
of
dog named Wesley.
a dog named Thomas is really funny to us.
good.
Thomas. Or just John.
This is my dog, Jennifer.
This is John. I'm sorry, John? Yeah, John. I'm Carter.
Jhon.
I'm Carter. I'm Carter and America.
Oh, too big to fail.
Too big to fail. Happy 4th, y'all.
So I was going to say that my room on the boat, it would have...
We got to make sure to fade
It
out,
would be it would be like a middle class room, so it wouldn't be as big and nice as Rose's room, but it wouldn't be the tiny bunk bed that is